Let's see.
Oh, jeez. Supposed to update YouTube.
Update.
Yeah.
Updates are never fun.
No, they're always dangerous. You feel like you're going to update and something will be lost.
Exactly.
Something that you really cared about will be lost.
It's crazy. Wax. I'm glad we get a little pre-show rolling because I don't want to talk about this during the show, but I wonder, like, if the Sixers should just go ahead and tank the whole season.
It's feeling like they should.
You know, in before when we had the real tank thing going, I mean, yeah, I was on board. Actually, it was John Picavich who got me on board. Actually,
Really?
Or not. Yeah. He
Clever.
told me I should believe in the
Johnny Hot Take.
in the tank. But the problem was, like, for what it was, maybe a legitimate 3 or 4 seasons that we actually like really went in on the tanking.
Yeah.
But there was never a prospect coming up worth tanking for. We just knew tanking was better than ended up in the 8th or 10th seed, and this was before the play-in. So it's like, so
I mean, I thought coming through the process, Ben Simmons looked the part of a transitional superstar.
Yes and no. I think I think he would have been like one of those years. Yes, Ben would kind of fit the bar, but he was never he wasn't like for sure like LeBron or Durant.
Well, there were LeBron whispers. He was the best player in the country on the Great Montverde team, and it was like
every year there's going to be a best player in the country though.
Well, no, but he was freakish.
He was a good player.
Nah, I think you're underselling a little bit. I mean, he's obviously failed, but
I'm not underselling. I'm talking about, you don't understand what I'm saying. I understand Ben was a good player, and things soured. I'm talking about the transformational. Your guy in San Antonio, Wemby. I'm talking about LeBron James. I'm talking about even like Zion Williamson. I'm talking about Cooper Flag now. Like, guys, these are like, whether they pan out to be that or not, like, they were spoken about as transformational.
I feel like that was around Ben at the time.
No.
I do. I do.
Because Ben Warts were still loud even at LSU. Like, he quit half the season. He still couldn't shoot. I think
LSU
was
revealing.
athletic.
LSU was revealing, but when I'm talking about when he was out of Montverde, if he was in the draft, we didn't have the go to one school and waste a year of your life. Like, he would have been the top pick in that draft, and the expectations were this is a superstar in a way.
His stock was higher coming out of high school than it was college, but we picked him coming out of college, so that's what I'm saying.
I get that, but
that's what I'm saying.
It took a hit, and at the end of the day, it was really revealing the way that the LSU team performed, not winning much, and he didn't really finish the year.
Yeah, that matters. Like for example, right? Yeah, I'm whatever. Really, everybody's really high on Cooper Flag. But in 10 games to go now, if he just quits on the team and he didn't pan out or whatever, and the team, doesn't even make the tournament or whatever, like, his stock is going to take a hit. He's not going to be that.
I agree with you.
I
agree with you. But I'm saying coming out of high school, Ben Simmons was on a transformational.
Yeah, baby
track.
Bron, all of that. Yes, I agree.
Now,
with that.
when we look at this in hindsight, going to LSU was a disastrous decision
in the first place.
Yeah. Then how he performed there. Now, when he played, he was like a double-double.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was putting up those numbers that were like, whoa, what's this guy doing?
Yeah, exactly.
But the wins weren't coming, and then he bailed on the season when it was going nowhere.
Yeah.
And so, at the end of the day, it was really telling of what he'd ultimately become.
Yeah.
But I do think that there was a window when he appeared to be a transformational level player.
But
I
guess
well short of that.
My whole point to it is, like, now there is that, in my opinion, that transformational player there that everyone seems to believe in Cooper Flag.
Yeah.
But, like, this wasn't the team to tank. You know what I mean? So should you, like, go ahead and just sit those guys down for the whole year, or should you nurse them back to health as much as you can and try to fight for a play-in spot?
Well, it really comes down to you're talking about Embiid and George. Really.
Yeah, Embiid and George.
You're gonna let the young two guys just play
as much as they can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no reason.
Maxey and McCain.
Yeah. They're gonna just play out. So,
Yeah.
I mean, Embiid's the most interesting one. I mean, it really feels like you're at a weird crossroads with him, as far as like how much does he have left of high level performance on any consistent basis.
Yeah.
And as a trade piece, he's not attractive. And as a foundational superstar of an organization, right now he's not attractive.
I read this article.
It's unkind.
And they likened his injuries and his path, where he's at with his age and everything, to the Dwayne Wade situation, which gross.
Interesting take.
Yeah. When his same type of knee surgeries and the same wordings that the doctors, said as far as like, hey, resting and this, they're not playing back to backs and this, that will be the plan for Dwayne Wade. But like, it's just if you have those degenerative knees, like you just have those.
Yeah.
There's no type of resting and not playing it back to back. That's not gonna like help.
Well, I mean, how much further behind is he to Kawhi Leonard in that regard?
Yeah, Kawhi.
I mean, that's another guy.
Yeah.
Again, what expectations should we reasonably have that he's ever an impactful star again?
Yeah.
And I mean, it's sad when it happens to these guys, but it happens. And, organizationally, sport-wise, you just have to take that into consideration and kind of move on. The tough thing is you sign Paul George, with a win-now mentality.
100%.
Like that's, there's no other reason to sign a player of his age if you're not expecting to do something this year. And if you're in the position where, sitting Embiid for the season or whatever is really on the table, Paul George makes no sense. I mean, is there a way you could trade him? I don't even know.
Paul, I don't know. I don't know. I would think that Paul George has a little trade value. I mean, he's on that super max, so I'm not sure. He would have to come back and show that he can play some games.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure. Yeah, that's a tough one. But there's always one sucker. I don't think there's a sucker for Embiid, but I think there'll be one sucker for George.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But that's enough for the 76ers. They don't deserve 6 minutes of any show.
Chatter.
Unless you're like an all Philly 76ers podcast show, which I do watch.
Jared McClain, though, is like...
he's a breath of fresh air.
He really is.
Yeah.
League-wide, though. I mean, it's funny. He went from... And that's, like... Jared McClain is... testament to my belief that the game sorts things out, and because he's a guy that does all the TikTok stuff, the dancing.
Yeah,
I mean, to be candid, a lot of his kind of persona comes off effeminate.
Yeah,
and it's not a traditional sports persona, but when he comes out and he performs consistently night in and night out, from a basketball standpoint, there's nothing you could say.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And I was apprehensive. I thought he was spent. You asked me like a day before the season start, like did I see McCain being in the lineup? I said when injuries, if we had a full roster, he'd spend a lot of his time in the G League.
Yeah,
I still think that would have been his track. But lucky or unlucky for him, lucky for him, he was able to hit the lineup with all of these injuries, and then the old guys that aren't injured, they really look old when they are in the game. So and Kyle Lowry and Eric Gordon and those guys. So he was able to get in there, get some minutes, and perform well. And so and it's also it puts the 76ers ownership, I think, in a kind of a tough situation. It's like Daryl Morey, he's getting the big stuff really wrong. And he's getting the I guess, if you will, the smaller things like really, really right. Like he found Tyrese Maxey at the end of the first round, and hit on that. He hit Jared McCain near the end of the first round, and really it appears to really hit on that.
Yeah.
And then he's getting these really productive role players, and Yabusele's been our second best player behind McCain. He's been very, very productive.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then, of course, you Drummond and all these guys. But the really big things, the guys you're giving max contracts to, the Tobias Harris, Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid, Paul George, those are franchise killers, man.
Yeah.
In a contract sport. And, so that's tough to get one thing all the way right and to get the big stuff all the way wrong. I don't know what you do with that.
No, it's tough. I mean, you're a roster that has a couple of interesting younger functional pieces, and then you have and Embiid's not the oldest, but physically he's the old.
Yeah, physically.
And George and like you said, Lowry and Gordon. It's like you have two different rosters.
You really do, right?
At some point, something has to give.
Yeah.
And from a logic standpoint, it makes no sense to double down on the older people.
Yeah.
I mean, you literally have to lean into a reset, whether that's tanking or whatever. See if you could ship Lowry or Gordon off to some, contending team or somebody that needs, veteran leadership, and just try to give these guys more and more opportunities to get better and grow. But yeah, it's funny.
No, it's definitely hilarious, man. So welcome back on the Bench Podcast with Bubba and Pink on my Sports Music and Mayhem. We're available on all, and I do mean all podcast streaming platforms, including on YouTube. Please like, share, subscribe, all of that good stuff. Shout out to Kobe, man, saying happy Bubba and Pink Day. Instead of 2 turkeys, he has 2 goats there. I appreciate that. You know what I mean? And today, if I can find it here, and where you at here? Of course, we got a lot to talk about today. We're going to be talking about Deion from a standpoint of he's saying he's going to play Travis and Shedeur and his seniors in the bowl game. We'll talk about that. There's been a lot of pushback on that. There's an influencer going to prison after putting a hit out on somebody. I haven't heard of that. It's been a while since I heard about anybody getting put a hit on anybody.
We had a hit in law school.
Like somebody put a hit on somebody?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Just got arrested, one of my classmates.
Oh, wow. But see how long ago that was?
Yeah.
It might be the last time I heard about that.
Yeah.
There's a debate going on social media, man. Fast food bracket. So we're gonna do an exercise, and hopefully Pink and I can name a winner here. If we can get on the same page, we're going to try to do that.
I don't see the prohibitive favorite on here.
We'll get there. I know I'll make it bigger when we get there. You'll see it. Pause. And then we got some, cheating on your spouse becomes no longer a crime in New York. Didn't know that was a thing, but we'll talk about that. And then I have a top 5 list, top 5 men that should be exiled from the United States. We'll get into that more. All right. And that'll be a funny thing to do there. You have to follow me there, all right?
All right.
Let's start with old Deion here.
Yes.
All right. They take a tough loss last week to Kansas. Kind of killed their hopes as far as Deion in Colorado, hopes of making it to the playoffs, which they were going to need a little help anyhow. But now it's all but gone.
Yeah, that was a terrible loss.
It was a really bad loss.
They had really built a great momentum for the season, and you have a big game and just shit the bed.
Altogether, man. The defense, who was growing and getting better, just seemed to revert all to their old ways. And I'm sure Warren Sapp had a huge talk with that D-line, but that's too late. Okay. What he says, that wasn't tough. That was entertaining.
It was embarrassing.
Embarrassing.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. That wasn't tough. That was embarrassing.
Yeah.
Definitely embarrassing. So now they're out of the playoff talk, but they became bowl eligible a couple of weeks ago. So what Deion is saying that we're definitely going to play Shedeur and Travis and all of our seniors in this bowl game, no matter what bowl game we end up in. We're going to finish the season. We're going to do this for the community, because Colorado has been a bad football. They haven't had any bowl game or any postseason football to play in years. So that's his goal. And there's a couple of examples or parallels. One being your Florida State team from last year. It's a different situation. Because of the wool didn't get pulled from under their eyes. They kind of the wool did get pulled under the Florida State's eyes. Colorado, they just didn't get it done. Okay, and so Florida State went out. They decided not to play in their bowl game, and that may have in your
may have contributed. I mean, looking back to where we are right now, my initial reaction watching the snub was fuck all these people in the committee.
Yeah.
What are their addresses and what do they care about? And then I would have, if I'm Mike Norvell, I bring everybody together in that room that they were in watching. And I say, we got fucked but we're going to show up and play a bowl, and we're going to win that bowl, and we're going to go 14-0. And whatever, I don't care. We could give each other rings. We could put a banner up at the fucking
like
school.
UCF did.
Like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
You fucked us, but we're going to show you. And if they had done that, I don't think we're 1-10 now.
Yeah.
I really don't think we're 1-10 now. But again, they didn't do that. Guys set out to a meaningless game. The team got killed. 63-3 or whatever, and quite frankly, they've never recovered. So now, I'm all for playing. Like, it just is what it is, man. You go out there every day, you're on an athletic field in practice or a game, you are subject to injury.
And that's
potentially
the pushback,
catastrophic
right.
injury.
Mm-hmm.
But if you accept the deal to play sports, that's the deal. At any play, you can get hurt and never play again.
Yeah.
If you're not cut out for that, don't just sit out the bowl. Sit out the whole fucking thing. Go sell financial aid products or insurance or whatever. Sell cock. I don't care. Like, it is the deal. Like,
and if you're pushing these guys to sit out this game, to sit out in the bowl game, why not sit out this game coming up this week?
Yeah.
What's the point of playing that?
Yeah, but once you go down that road, there's no justifiable reason for playing any game that doesn't lead to a championship.
Yeah.
And if you are a get the bag guy, there's no justification for playing any game that you're not getting paid to play.
Exactly.
And
so I think I think it's total BS. Yes, there have been players to get hurt in bowl games. That's football. Like Pink just said, guys get hurt in any game. That's a possibility. You know that. That's why you signed up. And especially in the world now of college football where these guys are making, money now, the bowl game is a part of the season. Why have bowl games? If you're going to push your guys not to play in bowl games, fight to not have them at all. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Go to the board or whatever you got to do to get rid of them altogether. Because why play it?
And there's a valid argument. Like, bowl games that are not part of the playoff don't serve any purpose.
Yeah.
Now there is a coaching perspective that you get an extra 2-3 weeks of practice. You get to maybe, get some extra reps for your younger guys, especially so when, so many guys sit out these meaningless bowl games anyway. It's like, oh yeah, well, we'll get working on next year's team with getting these guys reps and whatever. But it ends up being a bad show for the game itself, for the university. I'm sure it's increasingly difficult to sell tickets to any of these bowl games that are not in a part of the championship, because again, why do I want to pay top dollar to watch my team's watered down roster fumble around with another team's watered down roster?
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't make sense. It basically becomes a glorified spring football game against another university.
Yeah, it definitely can be. But another example or situation I was going to liken this to is a team that is in a different camp, like the Florida Gators. Now they haven't said anything, but they became bowl eligible with the win last week. I'm pretty sure they're going to play all of their guys in that bowl game. And they should play all of their guys in that bowl game, and that to prepare for that next season, to keep the momentum, to keep that positive momentum going. You know what I mean? Don't you agree to that?
100%. Go back 2 years. Florida State was 9-3. They went to the Cheez-It Bowl here and played an Oklahoma team.
Jordan would have been a junior.
Yeah.
Or a sophomore.
And everybody of consequence played in that game that was healthy. They won a game that I attended.
Okay.
And then you go into and go 13-0 the next season.
Yeah.
Like that's what matters.
That's what this is about.
To just sit out and whatever. But I believe in playing. I think you absolutely need to do that regardless of, the game or whatever. But college football, big picture, needs to figure itself out, because in 2 weeks, you're going to have an explosion into the portal, because the regular season and championship games will be done, and tons of these kids on all these different teams are going to be going into the portal because they're not welcome back, or because they're trying to upgrade, for a multitude of reasons. And so then you have these bowls that are like 2 weeks after that. the non-championship bowls. So, I mean, I get it. Like, I'm transferring. I'm trying to get, my next school sorted out because I got a signing day coming up. And, now you're totally bare bones because you got guys, not only leaving or sitting out because of draft eligibility, but they're doing it because, now they're in the portal because they're either, getting out of Dodge or trying to find a better opportunity.
In the expansion, the playoff expansion, and it almost seems like we're talking out of both sides of our mouth here, but I do 1,000% think these guys should play, but just talking about the bowl games in itself, with the expansion of the playoffs, that kind of lessened the importance of the bowl games, which nobody was interested in anyway. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, for sure.
Because when you expand it, the playoffs, man, and it's like if you don't make the playoffs, okay, are because those playoffs games they won't be labeled as like the bowl game, right?
No, I don't think until the semifinal round do they become bowls. My understanding is the first 2 rounds are basically played at the higher seeds home field.
Okay.
So they're not even like the typical neutral site bowl location.
Yeah.
So they're a completely different animal as far as that goes.
Yeah. They do. It
but
does.
But
need
there's
to sort
just
itself out.
as a whole thing, the college football situation it's not sustainable. And it's not sustainable because it's just not managed. Like you're trying to play a championship game into January 16th.
Yeah.
Now think about that. For those 2 teams, the next semester of academics will have already started at damn near every school in the country. So those guys are they're gonna go into the portal in the middle of a semester.
Right.
After that game, if that's what they need to do. I mean, it's just madness. That you can. It needs some direction. It needs some focus. Like again, if we're gonna go the professional sports model, like. You have free agency windows, you have draft days, you have all these different things of when people can be made available for selection or negotiation, and it's all after the last regular season or championship level game is played, so that all teams are kind of on an equal footing in that regard. And for the longevity and sustainability of the sport, they need to adopt some sort of model that's consistent with that.
Yeah.
But the other problem you have is these are still colleges, and you still have an academic calendar that you have to contend with in addition to, the sports calendar.
Exactly. Well, I'm definitely interested to see who they draw in that bowl game. See if they can get a good draw.
Why not the Florida Gators?
That would be. I would love that. I would definitely love that. I would want to see that game. I would pay to see that game, and hopefully that does line up there. I know Florida has quite a few losses, but it is the SEC, so who knows how they can draw that. Now to another team that was just as embarrassing last week in college football was Alabama. And, Alabama took a crazy loss, man, to Oklahoma, only scored 3 points. Now, out of that, and I'm sure this was bubbling up, up before that game, but out of that comes this crazy story that head coach Kalen announced that he was indefinitely suspended, that DeBoer here was indefinitely suspended from the team. The troubled linebacker allegedly sent DeBoer's daughter unsolicited photos. I'm sure those are deep pics.
The linebacker is indefinitely suspended from the team.
Yeah.
After allegedly sending DeBoer's daughter unsolicited photos. Unsolicited's interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, naturally we think of a dick pic. But was there some other type of unsolicited photo?
No, I think that's it.
Yeah.
I think that's definitely it there. Alabama season, man, it's just been. I know they're putting it all on the quarterback, Jalen, and he hasn't played well. But there has to be a lot of underlying issues in this or situations. This has to be a contributing factor to the season that they're having, along with the coach maybe not being prepared for SEC football. It's kind of it just seems like it's a storm there, SHIT storm, and all of this is just being put together here.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's definitely some problems. The SEC is eating itself alive a lot this year. You other than Texas, everybody's got at least 2 losses, and some pretty storied programs are sitting on 3 losses.
Yeah.
And so, part of it is just that dynamic of the conference, with the addition of Texas and Oklahoma kind of eating itself alive from a competitive standpoint. But again, there's, let's not fool ourselves. Coming in after Nick Saban, the single most successful coach in college football history, was never going to be an easy task. And, don't forget, when Saban would lose a game, there was a contingent of the fan base that wanted to run him out of town.
Yeah.
Now you drop
Towards
3 games, and then you got maybe some of this stuff going on. I don't know. This is definitely something that feels like it wouldn't have been something that happened when Saban was there. Maybe Saban doesn't have a daughter.
Could explain. He probably does.
But maybe
can you suspend your linebacker for doing that?
You could suspend him for any reason. Yeah.
I mean,
you could.
What if they were in some sort of?
So you're saying is he basically getting treated a different way because these picks went to the coach's daughter?
Yeah.
I agree with you. That's probably a factor. But let's just take this in a broader context. You have, you would have to have somebody on campus who received unsolicited picks to be comfortable enough complaining to somebody at the university to even put these wheels in motion to suspend a player for sending picks to some other person on campus.
Yeah.
So it's there's a line. Did you ever see the movie Hoosiers?
Yeah, basketball.
There's a line in there when it's when a guy gets drunk, walks up on the hilltop and yells naked at the moon, you could kind of ignore it. But when he does that in your living room, you kind of have to deal with it. And that's what we have here. But
do we though? Because I think if it's unsolicited, right? Why suspension? That's you should be kicked off the team. Right? Like if you're out sending
fair enough
D pics or whatever, unsolicited crazy pictures to any woman on campus, why is he still on the team? You know what I mean?
No, I get what you're saying. Now the indefinite suspension.
She got pics from a lot of football players. Come on.
Quite true. The indefinite suspension is the very definition of wiggle room. You're not permanently, banning a guy. You're not throwing him off the team. You're just saying he's going to be suspended indefinitely. Realistically, what is this suspension? They play Auburn this week, and then
it's over.
A bowl.
None of those
so
guys
essentially, it's hard to imagine that this isn't essentially a permanent suspension without saying that.
Yeah.
Maybe he's leaving the door open, and again, leave the door open, and maybe this guy, is genuinely remorseful or whatever. Or the other thing you got to look at is maybe the daughter was sending some pics too.
You know what I mean?
And while they're not necessarily, hey, please send me a picture of your junk, maybe she was being frisky enough in these texts and messages that it wasn't, completely all this guy's fault.
Yeah.
And that, there's some moral ambivalence here on the part of coach to be like, yeah, my daughter kind of invited that in a way. And, I'm not gonna go overboard on this guy.
And I hate to be that guy, but come on, she could be a little tougher than that. Like your dad he got enough on his plate already. He's the head coach of a top program. He's struggling. He didn't physically assault. He didn't threaten to physically assault you. He's not saying I'm going to come over. Come on, he sent you at worst. We don't know what the picture was, but at worst, he sent you a picture of his penis. Okay, hey, no, I'm not down with that. Whatever. And delete it and move on with your life. Why make this such a huge deal and have to tell your dad and do all of this?
Well, that's kind of where I was going. You would have to have somebody if in the campus willing to make a big deal out of this for having received the picture. Now, I don't know what the setup is at Coach's house. Maybe him or his wife or somebody stumbled into this and saw it when they didn't want to see it. And now that's kind of what I was going with. When it's in your living room, you kind of have to deal with it.
Yeah.
Maybe it was more to it. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe she told a friend that told him, I understand there's other circumstances, but you got to kind of keep that in house if you're the daughter, is what I'm saying. I mean, come on. Like, I mean, unless you were, unless he's talking about doing something to you sexually that you didn't welcome at all, or if it's just a picture, leave it at that.
Well, the other thing, the other angle, it could have been more of like a kind of a stalking type of uncomfortable thing.
If that's
another,
kind of if that is okay,
maybe there was a little chat, maybe he sensed a pic, maybe she tried to brush it off. And be like, hey, buddy, I don't think we need to communicate any further.
Gotcha.
And then maybe he kind of keeps reaching out, or doing the bump into her on campus, or whatever.
Yeah.
So there could definitely be more to the story.
Yeah.
But again, if you're, if what this guy is doing is really obnoxious in that lane of stalking or doing this, like, why not throw him off the team?
Yeah, for sure. Now, as far as Alabama, Kobe is saying more proof that you never leave a program you establish. It never works for the betterment of the coach or program. Rarely. Like leaving Washington for Bama is mind-blowing. No pressure versus the hottest seat. That makes sense. We've seen that happen. The UCF guy leaving. Like
Scott Frost left. But Josh Heupel's done pretty well.
Yeah.
I don't think I agree with that as a blanket statement. I don't. I think that there's more nuance to it, and I think that we've had episodes where it's worked and others where it hasn't worked.
Okay.
And I don't think you can just blanket say, hey, never, if you build something, kind of just stay there. Okay. And DeBoer wasn't there for very long. Like, I think he was only 2 years in Washington.
Yeah.
It's not like he had invested in building a program over an 8 or 9 year period and then abruptly left for Alabama.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I would throw that into the mix too.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. It is an interesting question. I mean, like, Urban Meyer, he left and then went to Ohio State and basically did damn near as well.
Yeah.
As he did at Florida. So, I mean, it's worked for some people. It worked, hasn't worked for others.
Yeah. He said Coach Prime left Jackson State and took all of the players with him.
Yeah. And Tom Herman left Houston for Texas and was run out of town.
Yeah, that was terrible. That was terrible.
There is a thing though, like like from the perspective of just economics of the game, that there's places you're coaching at that are never going to win titles.
Yeah.
And as a coach, when you're kind of moving up that ladder, you want to ultimately get to a place where you can win a title. I mean, to me, I look at Kirby Smart, and I don't know this for a fact, but I mean, he was with Saban for a long time and was regarded as a hot assistant for a long time. And he doesn't take a job until he gets the Georgia job. My gut feeling on that, without speaking to him directly, is that, like, he knew exactly what he wanted, and he wasn't going to be that guy that goes and jumps ship at Alabama for the
Kansas
FAU
State
job or the Kansas State job or the Maryland job. He was only going to leave when he got to a place he thought could come back and beat Alabama.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
No, that's a good point. Once again, you guys are still on the bench podcast with Bubba and Pink, home of sports, music, and mayhem. We're available on all podcast streaming platforms, including here on YouTube. Please like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff.
Another guy to bring up in this conversation is Brian Kelly at LSU.
Yeah.
He was at Notre Dame for I think close to a decade.
Yeah.
Was not fired, left to go to Alabama, put on his fake accent, and it really hasn't gone too well there. And this year in particular, he's really facing some heat.
It's been rocky. Yeah, it's definitely been rocky. Because LSU is a place, man. They I mean, just like, Alabama, Florida, and all these, they have national championship desires each year.
Yeah. They have a ton of talent. In
Louisiana.
That state. You have a great recruiting ground. They have great fan support. I think they have great economic support.
Yeah.
And to come into that job, the expectation is for you to win at a super high level. They've won title in 2019. They won a title back with Saban in the early 2010s. And that's what Brian Kelly's going there to do.
Yeah, he hasn't been – it's crazy because he hasn't been awful. He just hasn't met that consistent national championship in the hunt, desire. So,
he's been
tough.
there for 3 years, and it's been disappointing.
Yeah.
And again, you go back to last year's team. He had a really great quarterback.
Seemed to be,
well, it doesn't seem to be. Like it's proving to be a really great quarterback. And Malik Neighbors, high-level NFL receiver, and and stuff like that. And they really didn't do much at all.
Yeah.
And then this year, they've struggled. I think they're 3 losses. And again, the thing about Brian Kelly, why I've never liked him, is he's like a gruff, throw people under the bus guy.
Yeah.
I don't understand why people want to play for Brian Kelly. It's never made sense to me. Personality-wise, he just seems like a crotchety, angry dude. Like, not inspirational, not motivational. I don't understand it. And I've always been puzzled as to why he's gotten any talent to play with him. And then the other thing they just did is they just lost the number 1 recruit in the country to Michigan.
Yeah, man. Did you see that?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And they were like reportedly going to pay him whatever it was, like a reported $5 to $10 million or something.
Yeah, reported.
Yeah, you think that number was inflated?
I don't know what to make of these numbers.
Yeah.
Until you see it on a contract,
yeah,
it's hard to say. I think it's a lot of smoke and mirrors, and maybe there's some contingencies in some of those. And again, what was the $5 or $10 or $12 million for? For one season? Or was it for 3 seasons, which would be, the minimum or the minimum time you could be in college?
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's interesting to figure that out.
No, it is. Now, let's get to something else here. I wanted to, we usually go with a segment, You're So Crazy. So we're going to determine whether these guys are crazy here. Now, you mentioned Urban Meyer here.
Yeah.
Earlier. Now, Mike Vrabel came out with a story where he says that Urban Meyer did not know who he was, right? He asked Urban, like, hey, do you know me? Do you remember me? Because they were having a conversation, and Urban was like, who are you?
Yeah, so we'll put this in context. At the time of this conversation, Vrabel's the head coach for the Titans.
Yeah.
And and he's a pretty popular guy in NFL circles.
Yeah.
And Urban Meyer inexplicably is acting like he doesn't know who he is.
Yeah.
And it gets worse when it's considered that Vrabel is an Ohio State grad who worked on Meyer's staff for 2 years.
Yeah.
Like, this is inexcusably bad form.
And it wasn't a joke.
No, this is terrible. But like it is consistent with another. I remember hearing a story when he was with the Jaguars, and it was like, a couple games into the season, the Jags are struggling, and he's like, God, this is NFL's like playing Alabama every weekend. Like, no shit,
no,
Sherlock. Like, did you not understand what the league is? This guy's just.
And then the altercation he got into with the kicker at Jacksonville, like apparently kicking him, at practice and stuff like that. But yeah, so I mean, Urban is crazy. Maybe even getting a little old and
I don't think there's a maybe about that part. That's crazy.
Next here, so a group of I don't know if it's one person or a group, but some black folks. They bought a Zaxbys in Jacksonville, right off Kings Road. I used to live off Kings Road when I went to Edward Waters for a semester.
Okay.
That was crazy of me. And
was that not campus housing?
Yeah, but still.
Okay.
Okay, and so basically, they opened this new establishment of Zaxby's, and they were like, okay, the first 100 customers that we get, they will get to eat free for a year. Okay, so you got people that are spotted out camping out at Zaxby's for days, waiting for the opening so they can get this. Is that worth it to get Zaxby's free?
Worth it to who?
For a whole year. Worth
it to who?
Well, this guy, looks like he may not have a home, but that's in the picture. But for anybody, man, it is Zaxby's. Okay. How good is Zaxby's? I guess you have to.
I'm gonna say, I'm gonna say this is a great move for the company.
Yeah.
Because we're talking about this.
Yeah.
This is great promotion because it drew out the crazy.
That's a long time, man. For a year.
Yeah, and I do think if you win this, you're good. It's like you have to eat Zaxby's every day, but think about what you spend on food every week.
Yeah.
And if you could have even if you went 3 to 4 days a week and ate free, that's probably a couple $1,000.
Mm.
And now put that into context. Okay, let's say you have to wait 8 hours for $3,000. You wouldn't do that? The hourly rate on that's pretty good.
When you put it in that context.
Yeah, I think this is well played by everybody.
Yeah. So they're not crazy.
Yeah,
Okay.
not crazy at all.
All right.
People are making some sound financial decisions.
All right, man. Shout out to those folks. I can go. I can get down with that. Yeah. All right, now this guy here, pictured in bottom right, Puka Nacua. He's a wide receiver for the Rams. All right. He just learned last week that the Rams play in the NFC West. He didn't know what division they played in. He really doesn't even know what teams they play from week to week. He just shows up and does his thing.
Wait, that's the full part of it?
No, I added that.
Okay.
But he didn't know what division he played in. That's the quote. Is he crazy or not? Because in NFL, that's kind of important. You play in your division, you play the same team two times a year. Yeah. It's kind of important.
It is interesting. You just kind of like it does feel kind of crazy because it's like if you have cared enough about football in your life to become a professional player, it does feel like that's something you should know. You know, so I do feel it's a little bit crazy, but again, you know, maybe he's one of those guys that's just kind of immersed in his craft and a little bit like, all right, well, who am I playing this week? And he lives in the moment. He's not too worried about these other things. And he does, like, show up. I mean, again, if you're looking at, like, okay, if we're playing the 49ers this week, I'm prepared to play the 49ers. Next week we're playing Green Bay. I'm prepared to play Green Bay. Like, who gives a damn?
Yeah.
You know, he's in the moment. He plays well. I like it, man. I don't hate him for it. It's a little weird.
Yeah. He says, Kobe says, my kind of guy. He shows up the ball every week. He probably only knows their rival.
Yeah.
Who is the Rams' rival anyway? I don't know. I don't know. But
well, I mean, it does kind of become circular. Your rival's probably a divisional.
Yeah, it's right. Yeah, within a division. What's that NFC West?
Why do we hate these guys so much again? Somebody remind me.
Oh man. Speaking of people to hate, I'm going to get to my top 5 list next. All right. But
I got a top 73 million.
First, I want to give a quick shout out to one of our sponsors here, Royal13thebrand.com. Again, that is Royal13thebrand.com. Royal13thebrand.com. Use promo code Bubba Pink. All right, and be fresh heading into the winter. Again, I'm going to get some new pictures when I get some time. All right. But use promo code Bubba Pink. I promise you, there's winter attire on the website.
Yes.
All right.
It is getting cold.
It is, man.
A couple days this past week were a little chilly.
A little chilly, man. In the mornings and nights. It's coming.
Had to get the hoodies out.
Yeah, man. I went online and bought a hoodie or two.
You didn't have any?
But I need jeans, really. That's what I need.
Really?
I got enough hoodies, man.
Okay.
I really just need jeans. I bought a hoodie to match some shoes I just bought.
Oh, look at you.
Yeah.
An icon in fashion.
Trying to step it up a little bit.
All right.
You know what I mean? Now.
Are the ladies demanding it?
No.
Okay.
All right. Now, listen. We know that, and this is not going to be the topic at all, but you know, there's been a lot of talk and policy talk about certain demographics of the United States being removed from the country, and you know, and we'll see how that plays out if that happens and when it happens. I've compiled a list of top 5 types of men who should definitely be a part of that, whatever group is exiled from the country. These top 5 men should be a part of those groups.
Now, these 5 individual men or the 5 types of
top 5 types of men.
Oh, okay.
All right, and that's no matter the gender,
you said they're
demographic.
Men.
I'm sorry, no matter, no matter the demographic, what they, you know, the race, color, or whatever.
Well, I was going to ask why is the focus on men? Why don't you want to deport any women?
That's a different list for a different week. Okay. I do have top 5 lists of women too. But it's only 5, and I wanted to make sure I get these top 5 type of men out. You know,
okay,
we got to make sure we get these out. Now, let's take out the obvious. Okay, I think I added one obvious, but let's take out the obvious. Rapists and all of these. Let's take out the obvious. Okay, top 5 men that should be exiled from the country. Number 5. Guys, tough guys Guys who are mad all of the time for no reason. Let's get these guys out of here. There's no reason to be here.
The irrationally angry tough guy.
Yeah. There's no need for you to be here. There's never any telling what's on your mind, what you'll do. Maybe you're something sick in the head. I don't know. But you never have anything to smile about. You know what I mean? There's enough coochie on this planet to smile at some point in your life. Like, come on, man.
You never have a good day like Ice Cube.
Let's get these guys out of here, man.
All right.
Okay.
You won't be missed.
You won't. Number 4, okay? Guys who get drunk or get on drugs and become a totally different person, all right? And start, whatever. This is the one obvious. Start beating up on women and children, or start, riots or whatever. Because what we're not going to do, we're not going to be removing drugs and alcohol, because Bubba uses them. So we need to remove the men
who can't handle it.
Who can't handle it.
Yes.
All right. People mad at
violent substance abusers.
Yeah. People get mad at Kodak all the time, but Kodak's happy when he's on the stuff, man. He's he's dancing and stuff. Leave him alone. Let's get with these guys who are disturbing the peace when they get on substance.
Very similar to the first group.
Kind of. Yeah.
But
the
always angry.
The angry and always mad guy, it doesn't necessarily disturbing the peace. These guys are doing things.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Number 3, men who don't take care of their kids. Let's get these guys out.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's get these. They're serving no use. All right. They're just, you're not here for your kids. What are you here for?
Yeah.
All right. We don't need you here.
Deadbeat dads. Sayonara.
Yeah. To get those guys out of here.
Where are we going to send these? All the same place?
We can send them to the various different places.
Okay.
Yeah. Depending on the degree of what you are. Okay. Number 2, I really hate this guy. I really hate this guy. The 6'2" and above guy who walks into basketball gyms across the country with small college apparel and is sorry as sorry can be, and they never went to that school or played for that school. You should be exiled from this country and never to be seen or heard from again. Because that's just a farce. What are you doing? They come in there wearing UNF and Kansas, whatever, community college, and they never went there. These places, they have the apparel on the hoodies and the shirts. They just buy them on Amazon or something.
It is weird though.
It's weird.
You can't get that stuff easily.
No,
man. You could go out and get Michigan gear or North Carolina gear, but you want to get some high caliber University of Kansas at Peoria.
You know what I mean? Like, come on, man. You're fooling people just to get picked up in the first 5. That's silly. Yeah. Okay, and you should be exiled from the country.
And the game will sort it out too.
It will.
You'll be exposed,
and then you'll never get picked again. You have to keep gym hopping.
There'll be people
I think that's what
like,
they do.
how did that guy ever play in college?
You know what I mean?
Maybe he didn't. You would be right, sir.
Coming in at number 1. This was very easy for me, which led me to create the list in the first place. The guy who talks down on other men to get coochie. There is no place, there is no room for you
here in the United States.
There's absolutely no room for you here.
Yeah.
You should be sent to the worst places in the world, and you with no weapons, and just fight for yourself and fend for yourself. Right. That's where you should be sent to. There's just no room for them.
Yeah, they're tough. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
I don't have any strong disagreement with any of your things.
Anything I left out other than the obvious that kind of comes to your brain?
Republicans. All of them. Men, women, and children. Yeah. Leave, get executed, don't care. I don't like the guys that call shitty fouls late in the game.
Oh, man.
In a pickup.
Oh, yeah.
Those guys could be exiled too.
Yeah, they really can.
There's no need for those guys whatsoever.
No. And they're consistent with it. You know when the game gets tight, you know that guy that's going to do it.
Yeah, for sure.
Make shitty calls, whether it's foul calls or traveling or whatever it is.
And a close relative to that person is the person who is kind of like the gym bully. Like when this person plays, they just argue about everything. the score, the foul, so that very little actual basketball gets played. And it's just about this guy arguing with everybody in the gym.
Yeah.
Like, that guy needs to be deported.
1,000%.
Yeah.
1,000%.
Do not like that guy at all.
Kobe says somehow all of those guys could be the same guy. And,
hey, how you do one thing is how you do everything.
And then pillow talkers belong on Rikers Island. Yeah.
Pillow talkers?
Yeah, man.
What do you mean by a pillow talker?
Like talking to women, pretty much being chatty patty and talking to women, basically like what's the word I'm looking for?
Wait, is this your number one category or is this different?
It's similar, but it's different.
What's the key difference?
Because what was my number one was like men talking down to get coochie.
Yeah.
This is it's not getting coochie. You're just doing it for nothing. You're just giving up information. It's a word I'm looking for. It's like my man calls it being chatty patty, but you're just you're just talking to women, giving them all the tea, spilling the tea. You know what I mean?
About guys?
About anything. Like I can tell, hey, Pink doesn't wash his hands when he piss. You know what I mean? But I'm talking to, a random girl. Not the
you would be wrong.
Coochie, but but
yeah.
Whatever.
All right.
Whatever the case may be.
Rikers Island. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Send them there.
Unsolicited info.
There you go. That's basically what I'm trying to say. Yeah. All right.
You find these people get in your way.
Oh yeah, man. Well, not getting in the way. They just don't need to be here. That's all. The world would be a better place without them.
Yeah.
All right. That's how you make this place great again. All right. Now, the National Fast Food Day Bracket. I saw this. Now, this is the exercise we're going to do, okay? We both get one non-negotiable. I want to, Bubba and Pink, I want to create a champion together. I don't want my list and your list. I want us to work on this
together.
Now, you'll get one non-negotiable. I get one non-negotiable.
So
after that, we have to decide together.
Through this,
yeah,
like one of us could basically veto power.
Yeah.
I can overrule on this particular one.
Yeah, but you can only use that once. Other than that, then we have to come to an agreement. All right. So let's go. We'll go left side, then we'll go right side, then and then whatever.
Yeah.
All right. So we got Chick-fil-A versus Whataburger. I think this is
Chick-fil-A for me.
That's okay.
The chicken tender of Chick-fil-A is the best piece of chicken on the planet.
And I go grilled. You go fried?
Of course, fried.
Okay, I go grilled. I have to agree.
Look at me. Of course I go.
Chick-fil-A is a strong number one seed. And first of all, let's discuss the seedings first, too, before we proceed. Because I thought this was a pretty good job that they did. Yeah. Chick-fil-A being a number one seed. You got McDonald's being a 2. Popeyes being 14 is a little low, okay? But whatever. Maybe that's a regional thing. Five Guys, 5 seed versus Taco Bell. I really like how they put Taco Bell as a 12 seed because over the years they have
a lot of 5-12 upsets. A lot of 5-12 upsets in March. We're about to have one here in November.
So I wanted to touch on those seeds. I think it's pretty fair, the seedings that they did. Okay. All right. So we got that locked in. Chick-fil-A over Whataburger. Now we got an 8-9 Chipotle versus KFC.
I'm not huge on either one, and I must confess that literally the last 4 or 5 times I've eaten at this place, I've gotten sick.
Okay,
and that's KFC.
Yeah,
so I got to go with Chipotle here.
And you're not a Chipotle person, because we talked about this before.
Yes.
I think KFC is one of the worst chicken places around. Okay, I just think they're just holding on by a thread at this point. I don't know who's keeping them open.
And I'm not lying. Like the last 4 or 5 times I've had it, and it's been spread out because I don't go for it. I've literally, at some point after eating, felt really bad.
Yeah, you're saying it's not at the same location.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so we're going Chipotle here. Definitely Chipotle for me. I like the salad. I'll get from, whenever I'm in the salad mood, which is once in a blue moon. But, hey, I go to Chipotle and I love it. Okay? Next we have Oliver's and Jersey Mike's.
No, Culver's.
Right? Culver's. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I said Oliver's. I need some glasses here. I need my Deion's on.
Yeah.
Culver's versus Jersey Mike's. All right? I just had Culver's for the first time this year, actually.
Oh, really? Okay.
Okay. Jersey Mike's, I always regard as the white people sub place. But I have had it before. I think it's decent. It's not bad. What do you go with here?
This is this matchup does not generate a lot of intense feelings for me.
Yeah.
I've been to Culver's a handful of times. It's okay.
Yeah.
And Jersey Mike's, I've eaten there several times. Again, nothing special.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go with I'm gonna just go with Culver's. You know who's a huge Culver's guy? Sean Sukup.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
All right. Well,
when I went to Tampa with those guys, we ate at Culver's every day for lunch. At his request, like he was like, "Hey, let's just go to Culver's."
Yeah, because it's one right there in like Castleberry. That's the one I went to.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, we're over in Tampa, but yeah, I've been to the Castleberry one before.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so I'm gonna go with Culver's here too. We're laying down chalk right here. We're going with the higher seed so far. But Jersey Mike's, they put up a good fight. Okay, in that matchup, it was a close game. Went down to the fourth quarter. All right.
It was one of those games that, like, you really don't know anything about either team.
Yeah.
And you're kind of watching. It's a good game.
It's a good game.
Yeah.
Whoever wins,
I saw
it's a good
that.
game.
Glad I saw that.
Yeah. Next, you have Five Guys versus Taco Bell. Okay.
Taco Bell all day.
5 versus 12. You're going with the 12.
Yeah. Five Guys fries for me are terrible.
Yeah.
Do not enjoy them at all. The burgers are good, but they're not amazing. And because the burgers aren't that great and the fries are that bad, I seldom go there.
The problem is the burgers, above average, but the price is like a gourmet price.
Yes.
Five Guys is just really too expensive. And the fries for me are okay, but when they're not like scorching hot and fresh, they're just unusable. They're uneatable. They're unedible. I have no use for.
And unless they change too, they just kind of throw like a ton of them in a bag.
They stuff them in a bag.
And it's just like, even that's not like a good way to eat fries.
Yeah.
I don't. I mean, I feel like I'm just like reaching into a blind taste test. Like, pull up one of like the crunchy ones with no fry to it. Like, oh.
Overpriced, overhyped. Taco Bell, more so when I was young, but I still take them for the win here.
It's a guilty pleasure. I was out of Taco Bell for a while, and my daughter came back with Taco Bell one time, and just like had a soft taco on the side, and I was like, oh, I forgot I kind of enjoy this. It's all right. So yeah, no, I'm here for the Taco Bell.
McDonald's Panda Express, Mickey D's.
What are we doing every day?
Panda Express. I'm sorry, but you just don't belong in this. This was a 40-point blowout. All right, Wendy's and Burger King.
These are like two disappointing teams that have underperformed all year, and this is a game that when it's March Madness, I'm not watching. I'll just see the score at the end. But I do say I had recently a couple times Burger King. They don't make a bad burger. I'm gonna go with Burger King.
I gotta go with Wendy's here. Man.
Do you?
You gotta go. So what are we doing?
Are you exercising your
I don't want to exercise it for Wendy's. Can you meet me in? Come on, man. Wendy's got the nuggets. They were originally the chicken nugget king. They're not
were
now. They? Yeah, but Wendy's was the original chicken nugget.
I didn't know that. I didn't think I didn't think their chicken fingers were any good.
And they're a classic company. They
have that damn Frosty though too.
They got the Frosty.
The Frosty's terrible.
But
it pretends to be a milkshake, but you can't take it through a straw unless you have like the lungs of a fucking Olympic swimmer.
It's like ice cream.
Yeah. If I wanted ice cream, I'd go get ice cream. I don't want your frosty fake milkshake.
Burger King is dying, man. They're dying.
So too is Wendy's. I guess they're famous for the where's the beef.
Yeah.
So we'll give it to them on that.
All right. In-N-Out versus Popeyes.
In-N-Out was a huge disappointment in my only appearance in Vegas. Like, me and Juan went there.
Oh, yeah?
It was like Steak and Shake, basically, like food quality.
Yeah.
And then, like, it was so packed, we had a line to get our food. And then it was so packed that this random, like, guy by himself was gracious enough to kind of gesture to Juan and I that it was okay for us to sit at his table with him. Otherwise, we'd been eating standing. So I have bad recollection of that. Popeyes had a good run with the sandwich, so I'll go with Popeyes.
Big upset here. Going with Popeyes. 14 over a 3 seed. Yeah. Let's do it. Subway, Domino's. I'm going to go Subway here. I think Domino's is just the worst
I am
fast
not
food pizza
a
place.
I'm not a franchise pizza guy at all.
Okay.
The only one I like is like Blaze. I'll
Okay.
do Blaze, but I don't do the Domino's at all. And I like Subway. Subway, I really enjoy Subway.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Now we have Chick-fil-A versus Chipotle.
Here's where I got to show my true colors. Chick-fil-A here. I really don't like Chipotle. It's overhyped. I don't get why people are so like thrilled to get it. I've never had a Chipotle craving. And then my biggest issue with Chipotle is that carne asada meat they have the pictures of in the commercials.
It does,
and
it's not the way it looks.
It never looks
it's not
like
the way
that.
it
That's
looks.
false advertising. That's
I'm a
fraudulent.
Chipotle guy, but that's not the way it looks.
That's just not right.
Yeah, it's not the way it
So
looks.
I'm Chick-fil-A.
I'm going Chick-fil-A too. I am a Chipotle guy, but this is not that hard of a thing. This game gets away from them in the third quarter. And then next we have
Culver's and Taco Bell.
And Taco Bell.
I'm gonna have to go Taco Bell just because I've never had a Culver's craving. I don't have any issue with them. The food was okay, but I've never been anywhere in my life where I'm like, man, I need a Culver's right now.
I'll roll with you on that. We'll go Taco Bell. The 12. There's a Cinderella, man, and it's just making noise.
It's making
Nothing
noise.
wrong with that. Advance 2 rounds. Next we have McDonald's versus Wendy's.
McDonald's all day.
Yeah. That's not a
I'm
not
like
a
a
big surprise
stockholder
there. And then Popeyes versus Subway.
I would go Subway. I literally just eat it more frequently, and Subway it's one of my favorite sandwich shops.
Yeah,
I'm not a huge sandwich guy, but like if I'm gonna get a sandwich, Subway steak and cheese is solid.
This is rough because I eat both of them about the same.
Okay.
I'll roll with you on Subway because of the chocolate chip cookies.
Oh.
I'll take Subway cookies over Popeyes apple pie.
Okay.
Cinnamon apple pie. It's just too much cinnamon.
Yeah,
it gets messy. You can't drive and eat it. You got to take it home. By the time you get it home, it's not hot anymore.
That's the downfall of Taco Bell. You can't drive and eat Taco Bell.
No. It's messy. You have stuff all over your shirt and stuff.
Yeah, not if you value your shirt.
Yeah. No, because you got to have the sauce. You need the sauce with Taco Bell.
Yeah.
So I'll roll with you. Subway over Popeyes. It was close for me as a nail biter. Possibly a game winner. Who knows? All right. We're getting here to the end here.
Chick-fil-A and Taco Bell. I'm going to go Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
Taco Bell, it's like a guilty pleasure, but I can't eat it like super consistent.
Yeah.
Where Chick-fil-A, I could definitely eat with way more regularity.
I think so. And also, this 12 seed made it, to the Final Four, is it?
Yeah.
So good job for them, but this is where the road ends.
Yeah, great run.
Yeah, great run, man. Be proud of yourself. But this is where the road ends. Chick-fil-A, I mean, he's just a powerhouse.
You
man.
know, there's tears in that locker room.
There's too many stars on that menu, on Chick-fil-A's menu, man. That's tough to beat. All right. And then on the other end, we had McDonald's versus Subway.
I got to roll at McDonald's. That's like my staple.
Yeah.
I love that place.
Yeah. That leads to
they have the greatest Coke. When you get regular Coke, large, no ice, there's no better Coke on the planet.
Oh, man. I'm sure stars in Hollywood would agree.
They probably would not. Non-drug abusers know where I'm coming from.
That leads us to a chalk number 1 versus number 2 seed. This is for all the marbles when it comes down to.
Didn't even need to play the tournament. Just gonna put these two in a cage.
Chick-fil-A and McDonald's.
Chick-fil-A and McDonald's. I genuinely do not like the Chick-fil-A waffle fry. I know other people are fans of it, but I'm not.
Yeah, I'm a fan.
But here's the deciding factor for me. You never have an unpleasant experience at Chick-fil-A. And Chick-fil-A, the ability to order like a platter of the chicken strips is you can do that on like the holidays. You can do that at like potluck at work, and nobody's ever disappointed. So I'm going to give the nod really based on sort of higher end versatility to Chick-fil-A.
I mean, this is a classic overtime thriller.
Yes.
This is just one that you just remember for years. It gets played back on ESPN.
One of those ones, while it's happening, you're very aware that you're watching a classic.
Very, very aware. All right.
Where were you when this game happened?
Where were you when Chick-fil-A played McDonald's? I was alive when that happened, son.
You were probably too young for the classic Duke Kentucky game. With the Leitner shot?
Yeah.
Oh, that to me, that's still the best college basketball games I've ever seen.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah, hands down. It was crazy. Because it was like Pitino had the Kentucky rebuild going, but he had this team that had like Jamal Mashburn, who's like a high-level recruit out of New York City, and the rest of the teams was like literally like Kentucky kids, a bunch of random white guys running around making plays. And then Duke had that that team on the way to the repeat with Grant Hill and Leitner and Bobby Hurley. I mean, it was just and they were running out of gas down the stretch of that season. They were exhausted, and Kentucky gave them everything possible, and they still found a way to win.
Wow.
And Leitner, I think he was 10 for 10 from the field, 10 for 10 from the line, including the game winner. And midway through the game, he stepped on a Kentucky player like Draymond Green style.
Yeah. So Chick-fil-A is the winner here.
Yeah.
And I just think it's awesome. Now hold on.
Okay, no checkers, no crystals. My big disappointment was no White Castle.
White Castle crystals.
White Castle, I love.
They're similar.
They're similar, but to me, White Castle's a cut above.
That could have made it on here over Culver's. I think either one of those, Checkers or Crystals, could have made it over Culver's.
Yeah, probably should have had one just for variety.
Just for
that
variety.
Smaller burger dynamic.
And Domino's, my problem with Domino's being on the list. How do you choose that over Pizza Hut or Papa John's?
Well,
is that kind of saying like?
Yeah,
you just needed to put a fast food pizza place on there?
I mean, pizza's not fast food. Domino's, you don't sit and eat there like you do in these other places.
You should have just had it off the list altogether.
Yeah, pizza. Probably should have not. Domino's was not a good fit.
Yeah,
because you could have a separate category for pizza.
Yeah.
So probably could have had like Crystals or White Castle in on that side.
No, that's for sure. Good call out, Kobe. Yeah, because Checkers. I mean, Checkers had a good run for college.
This is tough though, because like if you think about it, like. Jersey Mike's, we had Subway, but you didn't have like Firehouse Subs.
Yeah.
You didn't have Jimmy John's.
Yeah.
And then
Jimmy John's they're saying they're fast. That's the thing.
On the other side with Five Guys, you didn't have like the Burger Fi. And some of those other kind of like boutique burger spots.
Yeah, those guys got a lot of beef, no pun intended. When not making this list, not making the tournament.
Yeah.
What do they have to do? Who do they have to beat?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? we got to put more guys on the schedule there, I guess.
Tougher games on the schedule.
Yeah. Moving along here, I had a couple of just interesting, crazy things. You got Lisa Raye in the news. We know Lisa Raye from back in the day in the movie where she was showing all of her assets.
Players Club.
Yeah, right? Man, with Bernie Mac and those guys. So now she's 57 years old. She says that she only dates wealthy men to avoid stressing them out by trying to keep up with her lifestyle. If it takes the man's whole paycheck to take me out to lunch, you cannot hang with me. You're still wanting weekend vacations, and I go on month-long vacations.
Wasn't she married to like some sort of royalty from an island nation?
Possibly.
I think she married like some guy who was like whatever, the Prince of the Bahamas or something. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, this is what prostitution looks like. It's pay to play with Lisa Raye.
Pay to play.
Yeah, that's all it is. I mean, it's not surprising. It's just the temperature of the room.
That's crazy though, man. Your whole paycheck. What kind of lunch are you having? Lunch? Not even dinner? Yeah. Well, you having $800-900 lunches?
This is really like ridiculous hyperbole on her part. Like I said, what does a lunch cost? It's not a whole paycheck.
Yeah.
Unless you're gonna be 8 or 9. Weekend vacations, month-long vacations. Yeah, I don't know. I just If you are a chick, though, like this is actually something to aspire to in a weird way. If you can position yourself this way where you are, banged by wealthy dudes and provided with this lifestyle in clear exchange, this is what you kind of want to do. I mean, it does, beat a bunch of dates at Taco Bell, I suppose. If you really think about it, like, if you make like a financial decision, like I'm going to get fucked one way or the other, I might as well get month-long vacations and big lunches.
Yeah, but then
for my time.
But there's a two. First of all, there's not a ton of those guys going around, so there's going to be gaps of time where you're with no one.
Fierce competition.
And in those times, like we don't want to hear about, I'm lonely, and and this or that, and men aren't anything like, because you know what you're looking for. Then on the flip side, when you finally grab one of those men, you got to be willing to put up with any and all of their stuff. Because how do you lose the man?
Well, no, I was gonna,
You kind of got to do whatever to keep put up with anything he's throwing your way, other than physical abuse.
Thanks for clearing that up. I mean, I think it's kind of what Kevin Samuels was talking about. Like, if you have a guy that's doing this comfortably, he's smashing other women.
Yeah.
Like, and you just got to deal with that. That's the pill you swallow.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want that lifestyle, it comes with a cost. Yeah. So, no, fair enough. Yeah, no, I think you kind of brought me around on that, Bubba. I think, you have to look at it completely. It's like, if you're going to be this type of woman attracting that type of guy has a roster, and you ain't going to have much to say about it.
I know.
And it is really interesting, though, because, like, what you said, though, like, when they lose a man or get dumped or break up with a guy, like, what does that look like? Are you able to transition quickly to a couple new guys with millions of dollars? Or do you have, like, 8-month, 12, 17-month stints where you're just, like, solo, using your toys?
Yeah.
Making sure the rose is properly battery activated. I don't know.
No, I just don't know.
But I feel like most women, like, not to that extreme, but that's the mentality. I mean, we've talked to so many where there's like a financial threshold that a guy has to have to deal with them.
Yeah.
And believe me, it is a deal. Like, you are negotiating.
100%.
Yeah.
And they know that. I think they're smart enough to know that. I would hope. Kobe raises a good question here, man, about the Heisman.
Is it even a debate anymore? And I guess he's giving us a clue of what he thinks with the spelling.
What did he say?
The Heisman with the 1-2 in the middle. Yeah.
What do you think?
If I had to vote for it, I'd vote for Travis.
Yeah.
I would. I mean, it was kind of fun. I saw a clip today, like Charles Woodson in his Heisman Trophy season that defeated Peyton Manning, no less, had 11 receptions on offense.
Yeah.
And Travis has 11 touchdowns.
I know.
And probably got a couple more before this thing's all over. Now, what he's doing is...
And Deion is hot about him not receiving the Jim Thorpe, being a Jim Thorpe.
Even a nominee.
A finalist.
Like, let alone screwing him. Yeah, no, Deion's going hard for that. Oh, no, he's going for Genty. Oh, okay. Oh, my bad.
What he said?
Sorry for that.
No, I'm going for Genty.
Hell no, he's going for Genty. No, I'm Travis, and what he's doing, we're not going to see again.
What's Genty's case? Didn't he slow down?
He's up. I think he's over 2,000 yards right now. So he may not catch Barry Sanders, but he'll probably have the second best rushing season in modern college football history. I think Marcus Allen had about 2,300 yards back with USC. But no, he's having a historically great season. He's probably going to be in the playoff, I guess, which kind of puts a leg up on him. So he does have a very strong case. And the more scouts that watch him, they really do like him a lot. And I do think, in a weird way, because this is like a voted thing, I do think the success of Saquon Barkley, and to a lesser degree, Henry will have a play on this. The running backs have been murdered lately in public perception and value, And these two guys are having phenomenal seasons, particularly Saquon, and kind of, Genty's doing that in the college game. So I actually do think he has a good, strong case for this. I would personally, at this moment, vote for Hunter over him. But, Genty's put together the best running back season in over 30 years, 35 years. Put that in context. That's insane.
Yeah, his numbers are really impressive. And if they make the playoffs, that'll be even more. They're 10-1. This is tough, man, because you have to put into context what Hunter is doing on both sides of the field. I guess the issue would be he's not, crazy elite. He's not having a crazy elite season at either one of the positions. But when you take into account he's doing both of them, and he's performing well in both of them.
Yeah.
You gotta. I would close my eyes and pick Hunter, but yeah, I'm not going to be upset or angry if they would choose Genty. I didn't know he's a Florida boy either.
Yeah,
he's from Duval.
Definitely.
Yeah. Not a big catcher out of the backfield, but I guess you don't need to be when you're rushing for 200 a game.
Yeah. Well, what I've heard though is that he does have good hands. It's not like an issue where it's bad hands.
They're just not
something that they utilize
running
him for.
Yeah, they're just not calling those plays.
The reality, like if he's running as consistently and effectively as he is, even if you're going to go to the passing game, you're probably going to do play action off of the run threat. So he's not necessarily going to be a primary target in the passing game.
Yeah. Yeah, that's tough, man. I can't wait to see. I know who would be the third finalist there. When it would be Genty, Hunter.
For me, I would have Cam Ward and Shedeur as the 4 finalists.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a good argument for anybody else to be in that top 4.
Is Miami going to be in the ACC championship game?
That I don't know. I don't know the tiebreaker system on that. Because SMU is assured a spot. Now, I don't know what breaks down between Clemson and Miami, and they've not played each other.
No.
So there's no direct tiebreaker there. So I'm not sure how the ACC is gonna do that. Tremendous blow if they're out.
Yeah. It'd be funny and interesting if they, quote unquote, got screwed.
Yeah.
And 2 Florida teams to get, screwed 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
That'd be rough.
We're on the wrong end of a gangbang.
No, for sure, man.
The other interesting dynamic is that the SEC is probably going to have 4 teams in this thing.
Neither one of them play Clemson. That's weird.
Oh, SMU didn't either?
No.
Okay. But the SEC is probably going to have 4 teams in here. But what you're going to have is potentially like a team going to the conference final and taking a 3rd loss. And then there will be teams at home that don't make the conference final that'll only have 2 losses. And then are you almost punished for making that SEC final game and losing it to maybe Texas, maybe the best team in the country, and you lose your playoff spot there versus not getting a chance to play in the game, and and then you basically get an easier path into the playoff.
Yeah,
I think that'll be very interesting.
No,
and he's gonna cry if Clemson sneaks in. Back in this, Miami has to lose to Syracuse for Clemson to be in. So if Miami wins their game, they'll play SMU for a chance to go to the playoff.
Yeah, that's what he's saying because Clemson does have 2 losses, and they play a ranked team this week anyway. They play.
They're playing South Carolina.
Yeah,
so it's not a conference game. Their conference schedule is already in the books.
Yeah.
So okay, I got you.
Yeah. So,
but their other loss was to Georgia.
Yeah.
So they only have the 1 loss in conference, and even if they lose this weekend, that won't change.
Maybe the tiebreaker is. Maybe overall record or something.
Yeah, overall ranking.
Overall, yeah, whatever.
If the motivation of the conference is to get more teams in the playoff, you go with the highest ranking team in your final to break a tie.
Yeah. Because
they'd have the best chance to make it even if they don't win the game.
The SEC is really tough this year because it's been so deep. So it's those top teams, man. They're current losses. You know what I mean? Like Ole Miss was assured to be a playoff team, and then you come out and lose against Florida. It's just been really tough, man.
And Alabama was not out of the mix. And then they lose the game to Oklahoma. Not a very good Oklahoma team, to be fair.
Yeah.
Texas A&M was in a pretty good spot and dropped a game to Auburn, and they got to come back and play Texas this week. So yeah, it's really kind of like falling all apart around a lot of these teams.
Yeah. So I still think ultimately 3 SEC teams get in. But, I mean, who knows about at the end of this thing?
A fourth's not out of the question.
No. But I think still at least 3 get in.
Yeah.
For sure. So we'll see how that plays out. Before we get to some NBA, NFL news here, I did want to talk about this influencer. I'm not sure if you heard about this story. So apparently she's getting sentenced to 10 years in prison for hiring someone, for $20,000 to unalive her rival, and a woman who left some negative comments.
So is it 2 for 20?
Basically, right?
It's like you're out at the outlets at the Nike store getting 2 T-shirts.
Yeah,
2 for 20.
Yeah, for real, man. Ashley Grayson here. So, but hold on. She says they say offered a couple a total of $60,000 to kill her ex-boyfriend and 2 business rivals. All right, so that's the ultimate.
3 for 60.
Yeah.
Wow.
So 35. She ran a business as an online course coach. It had developed a following on social media. Her Instagram bio describes her as a business coach. All right. It says that the Grayson had been convicted in connection with the plot and sentenced to 10 years in prison. All right. They said they offered to pay a Memphis couple to kill 3 people.
Yeah.
So,
well, what's going on with that couple?
Yeah. And he said the Grayson suspected the Mississippi woman of creating fake online profiles that criticized her and her business. Each one of those killings had a value to Grayson of $20,000. So that's $20,000. Okay. This is crazy, man. The Memphis woman and her husband went to Dallas in 2022 and met with Grayson and her husband. Okay. The woman, the Memphis woman video recorded a call to Grayson when Grayson said she wanted the Mississippi woman killed as soon as possible and offered an extra $5,000 for the murder to be carried out in the next week. Okay. The Memphis couple sent Grayson a photo of police lights from an unrelated incident under the guise that they tried to carry out the murder for hire plot but were unsuccessful. The couple asked Grayson for $10,000 just for the attempt and flew to Dallas where they received the $10,000 from Grayson. Just for the attempt, all right? So she did pay the $10,000 just for the attempt. Okay? A grand jury in Tennessee indicted Ashley and her husband, Joshua Grayson, on a charge of use of interstate facility and commission of murder for hire in 2023. Okay? The husband was acquitted, but the wife was found guilty.
Good for him. He gets to go find a new bitch.
That's crazy, man.
That's funny. Nah, I mean,
this is another case though, especially from the social media side. Like, you cannot allow people to get you so riled up that you're gonna go through and hire someone just because they left negative comments. What are you talking about?
Yeah. I wonder what those comments were. I mean, how negative could they be?
You know, because people are like, "Oh, I own a business, and I can't allow you to destroy my business." Like, come on, man. Just if it hurts you that bad, go to the delete and block game.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
just delete the comment and block the person.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Though.
We leave our negative comments up. I don't care.
We do. We have thick skin. Yeah, this is. I mean. Interesting. I can't help. When I was in law school at Florida State, I think it was my second year there. We had this lady. She was like a law student. She was in my class. She had to have been like upper 50s, maybe 60 years old. Almost every day she wore a Dallas Cowboy jacket, and in class, like the regular class, she was telling a story, and she admitted to having killed a wetback. In class, like everybody was like, "What?
What's a wetback?"
It's a derogatory term
Oh,
for a
for
Mexican person.
Okay.
So yeah, and so she'd said that like straight up in class, like not hesitating, not having any remorse after saying it. It was like stunning.
That's crazy.
So latter part of our second year, boom, we get up one day and find out that she's been arrested in a murder for hire. She was went to what she thought was a hitman to arrange to have one of the professors at the law school killed. And then there was like an audio recording, and she was like, "How much to throw in my husband?"
Yikes.
Yeah. But the guy that she thought was a hired killer was like an FBI agent or something. And so she was basically caught, done, never saw her again.
Well, I'm sure people probably go on Google, type in, contract killers for cheap. Those guys probably
if you're gonna do some contract killing, like don't be cheap on that. Like spend the extra dollar,
No, that's crazy though, man. And also,
it's just such a I just don't know, like how, if you're this lady, if you're an influencer in social media, like, how can you trust anybody that you're hiring to kill somebody?
Yeah.
Like, let's just start there.
If you don't know them.
Yeah, like, what do you possibly know about this Memphis couple? Like, what's going on there? That you're basically offering to pay them money to kill somebody. Like, what recommendation did they come under? I'm sure it wasn't like 5 stars on Google. I mean, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, you're probably better doing your own dirty work.
At the end of the day,
yeah.
If you need a person gone, if they just have to be gone, just do it yourself.
Yeah.
DIY project.
There was an old mafia saying that 3 people could keep a secret if 2 are dead. There's some wisdom there.
Yeah.
And that's why, like, a lot of times in a lot of nefarious activity, like, there will be like some back end killing.
Yeah.
I'm going to kill the only 2 people that know what we did. And that's it,
Yeah.
So very bad planning on her part, and she deserves the sentence. No problem with it. She needs to touch up that hair too.
She'll get plenty of touching in prison. That's for sure.
Wow, they're gonna work her over.
What's been your biggest storyline in NFL so far? Like the Baltimore Ravens story has been really unique as far as it's been like a roller coaster. They started out kind of slow, everybody's like, oh, you need to feed Derrick Henry more, and they lost their opening game to the Chiefs. Then they get kind of hot and they start kind of blowing out a couple of teams, and then you drop a game here and there to like lesser teams and things like that. It's been a little bit of a roller coaster, but
yeah, every time they start to look the part of maybe the best team in football, they drop a game that makes you question it all.
Yeah. That's
kind of the roller coaster they've been on.
Yeah.
The Chiefs just continue to find ways to win. I say this. I was at the Roadhouse on a Sunday afternoon about 4:00, and at one time you had the Chiefs pulling a game out against the Panthers. You had the Dallas-Washington game just going berserk with scores being exchanged
especially
in the closing
late
minutes.
Yeah.
And then you had the Bears, and I can't remember who they played.
I think it was the Vikings?
Yeah, Vikings going down the stretch. And I'm just like, all 3 of these things are going on different TVs, and I'm just like riveted. I'm like, this is insane. Like, this is what you love about pro sports.
Yeah.
The teams are really good. The players are great. Even when games come down to the wire, everybody's talented enough to still make amazing plays. It's like the opposite of women's basketball. So, I
didn't see that one coming.
Yeah. But that was just one of those moments you just looked and said, damn, this is just really good. when that happens. But I'm not a big storyline guy because the stories
They
always
change.
change. It's just like what are we doing? I mean, but just kind of notable things. The Chiefs continue to do what they're doing. They have a platform of how they play, and it's close, and it's down to the wire, and what is it, 8 out of 9 times or 9 out of 10 times it's worked out in their favor. The Redskins have, were a darling of the league. They've hit a little adversity right now.
Yeah, and Jaden is struggling a little bit too.
It'll be very interesting how they kind of handle that the last part of the year. Can they pull it together, get hot again, and be a playoff team? Because it's not outside the possibility that they fade from the playoff picture. And then you're all
I want to pause on that there because there's a moment for all young star quarterbacks where they hit like a one of those. It's almost like an early sophomore wall, but before whatever that comes. Like for example, like right now, your guy in Houston is struggling a little bit. Then you got Jaden struggling a little bit. There was a point in Mahomes' second year because what happens is when you come out and you're strong and you come out on a fast start, when you start your NFL career, and it happens like clockwork, man. Teams figure out your weakness, and then every single team, no matter how good or bad they are, they follow the exact same game plan. It's rinse and repeat. And if you don't learn how to, overcome your weakness or get better at that, you're gonna cap out or stall out in your career. And this is where Jaden is at right now. This is where your guy in Houston is at right now. CJ Stroud. And you know what I mean? It's not that they're bad. It's just that the NFL has figured out a particular defense for their skill set. Now where it happens next. And I know Kobe is talking about Caleb. NFL owes Caleb apology, but really I know they changed the offensive coordinators and kind of changed their game plan a little bit there, slowed things down for him and things like that.
Caleb, over the body of work that we've seen, he's had good games, he's had bad games.
Yeah.
It's just really been up and down and trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
But I think the bigger point of what you're saying, and I agree, adversity will hit. Nobody is going to have a career without adversity.
No.
And it's how you respond to that. And, sometimes it's something like a tactical thing. Maybe there's a defense that they're making you throw certain throws and you're maybe resisting throwing them, trying to find bigger plays, and you just can't work it out. But at the end of the day, the biggest thing is you're going to have a challenge to your confidence, your ability to confidently make throws, make plays, and be bold. You can't quarterback in fear, and you can't quarterback without confidence. And so what happens is the adversity is going to come, and either you're going to figure it out and find a way to play through it without ruining yourself, or the adversity is going to eat you up. And so that's what a lot of these younger guys are in that situation. You're going to have to see, C.J. Stroud, does he kind of come through this and play out the back end and kind of fulfill the promise that we thought we saw last year? Jaden Daniels, it's hitting him right now. Is he going to fight through that, or is he going to realize there's a ceiling on what he is as a player? And then Caleb's been so much all over the board that until he kind of consistently finds what he is and consistently puts 3, 4, 5, 6 games stretched together, we don't know what he is.
Yeah,
and
sure.
that's what it comes down to.
100%.
There's so many challenging things to that. There's obviously the playmaking component and being dangerous. There's also playing well when you're playing bad is what I call it. It's like you're in a game and you miss a few throws or you throw a couple picks. Do you have it within yourself to still make a couple big throws later in that game? And or do you kind of get gun shy and lose confidence in that? That's so important. And then at the end of the day, with as many close games as are played in the NFL, are you a good 2-minute guy?
Yeah.
Are you a guy that can move your team up the field late in games when it needs to happen?
Yeah.
And there's different ways to do it. Some guys can just sling it. Some guys can give you a little bit of the running element and throw it. But at the end of the day, you're going to be judged by wins and losses, not stats. And if you're winning consistently, you're going to be in the playoffs. You might get a chance at the Super Bowl. And that's winning close, tough games in the NFL. That's the recipe. So you got to get real good at, end of game drives, whatever that takes, whatever that looks like.
100%. 100%. Now, on the Shedeur and Travis watch here, okay, you got the Giants at 2-9, and you have the Raiders at 2-9. Okay, those are the two words. Oh, and Jacksonville. So you have three teams that are 2-9: Jacksonville, the Raiders, and the Giants. Okay, and then that follows is the Panthers and the Patriots. Okay, now, if that was to hold here, you would expect, like I said, Jacksonville. I no matter what quarterback is there, I think they continue to roll with Trevor another year or two and try to give him another additional piece. I think that's a place that Travis could land and have a fit for.
No, if you're looking at it that way, I think the Jags, if they end up in that spot, probably more likely to go with Travis. Again, because they have a quarterback investment that they've made, and they're probably going to be compelled to try to see that through.
Is Jacksonville a place Deion would shield Travis from? For whatever reason,
would not be surprised if he did. Shad Khan's a different sort of guy. He's he's an English guy, and he owns a soccer club in the Premier League, and Jags will always play 2 games in England, and they've had occasional, like 2 years ago they made the playoffs. A couple years before that, they had the Duval squad with like Jalen Ramsey. There's been no consistent success in that organization during Shad's tenure, and really, almost going back to like Mark Brunell had a couple good years with like Fred Taylor and those guys.
Yeah,
it's not a winning franchise, and you could fairly question, can they win? Can they play at a high level?
And it's not 100% certain that they even stay in Jacksonville. I mean, there's always been
hear some stuff about that too. So I would think he would have some concerns about that, unless again, Doug P's been on the hot seat. That is potentially a place that that might welcome Deion as coach, and Shedeur is top pick. It's not outside the realm of possibility.
Picture this world here. Tell me who says no. If Jacksonville ends up with the worst record, okay?
Yeah.
They draft Shedeur. They get Deion as a coach. Jacksonville decides, let's trade Trevor Lawrence and say our 3rd-round pick and a future pick. Las Vegas Raiders has a 2nd pick. They don't have a quarterback. We'll give you Trevor and a couple more picks for your number 2 overall pick. Who says no?
It
to try to
comes
get
down
Shedeur and Travis.
Realistically, it comes down to what does Tom Brady think about Trevor Lawrence? To me, that's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
If he thinks Trevor Lawrence can play, then I think they make the trade easily.
Yeah.
And it works out for both teams. But both teams get something really attractive to them.
Yeah. But that's not a bad idea, right?
No, I like
First
it.
of all, I haven't heard that or seen that anywhere, so I think I'm like a
pioneer.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I like it. I like that a lot. And I but again, I think Tom Brady is the one that would be making that call.
He would have to feel good about Trevor.
If he looks at Trevor and doesn't see a real quarterback, they wouldn't touch the trade.
Yeah. Chris says they announced a new stadium in Jacksonville. They're staying.
Okay.
Kobe said there isn't enough Aaron Rodgers hate on the Bubba and Pink show tonight. I mean, me, Big and I, we try to make it. We just don't like to talk about irrelevant or bad. Like I did the 76ers pre-show before the show even started. That's my team. Yeah. We just try not to talk about irrelevant and bad people. I mean, and Aaron Rodgers is just both, man. He hasn't been a good football player this year, and they're just completely irrelevant.
Yeah, they're a disaster.
And the Jets was a team. Pink believed in them last year. They had the
Hard Knocks.
The Hard Knocks, and then essentially the same team comes back but more healthy. But Aaron is a shell of himself, and the Jets. I like again. it's hindsight and whatever. I think you still do it. I think I still do it. But you hand your franchise over to him. The Jets hadn't had any success in the last since I've been alive, whatever. So it's like you kind of got to just give it to him and let him do what he's doing. He brings in all his people. He brings in his first year. He brings in Boyle as his backup quarterback because that's his best friend. And Boyle was a terrible college quarterback. You know what I mean? So you kind of it's all Aaron Rodgers' fault because he's been calling the shots as obvious as plain as day. His offensive coordinator is his friend. The backup quarterback is his friend. He gets the coach fired and then brings his friend over as a receiver. I'm sure Aaron Rodgers engineered that trade, and none of it has worked out.
Yeah.
None of it.
No, it's been a disaster. I do wonder, like, if he didn't get hurt last year, if he found his footing a little bit, would all this be different?
Yeah.
And it could. You're asking a lot of a guy who's 40 years old coming off of an Achilles injury to play at a super high level. And, and again, go back, to before the move. They had a young defense that was performing at a high level.
Yeah.
Sauce Gardner looked like a rising star and had some other pieces on defense. And you had this kind of offense with a couple of talented guys like Breece Hall and Garrett, and then you figure all we need is a quarterback that can make it move. And you're 2 years removed from Tom Brady rolling up with in Tampa and winning the Super Bowl. It just felt like it was the right thing to do. And sometimes you make a move that is right based on what you know, and it just goes horribly wrong.
So much of what Aaron did, too, in his prime was with his legs. He did a lot of moving in the pocket and extending plays
for sure.
And with that Achilles, you just can't do that anymore. He's never been a pocket passer. Yeah. A pure pocket passer, man. And I think going into old age, I think you're going to start seeing that a lot more. Those are the type of quarterbacks that are going to be able to extend their playing career into their late 30s and early 40s are the pure pocket passers, man, because when you can't move anymore like you used to, like I couldn't envision a world where Lamar and even of course Lamar, but even guys that move around a little more than him, Kyler Murray, a little less than him, Kyler Murray and all these guys, I can't envision a world where they're playing into the late 30s, early 40s because they're just not comfortable in being a pure pocket quarterback in any event. So,
I agree with that. I agree with that. Yeah, but no, Rodgers has been an unmitigated disaster. And again, it's one of those things too where I think it compounds on itself. Like, he got injured, the team went downhill. Then he comes in this year. He doesn't have immediate success. He's struggling personally. And then it's like the guys in that locker room, they start to lose faith. And I was not a Robert Saleh fan, but I think in that locker room, he had some guys that supported him. And they felt some kind of way when that trigger was pulled. And I think that's why you didn't have any immediate bump in performance because that was a divisive firing.
How does that look? How does that look on Aaron Rodgers when he pushes the coach out and you're worse?
Horrible. That's why I'm saying all this is compounding.
Yeah,
it's like while Rodgers probably did not like Saleh and was comfortable with him leaving, I think some defensive players were close to him, and they felt like wronged by it. Which they're going to look at Rodgers and be like, you kind of screwed us with this. They're not, and we're not winning anyway. And then you don't have an immediate bump in performance where you win 2 quick games and whatever. It just now they probably just hate each other and want the season to be over.
Yeah.
Just like multiple people for multiple reasons throughout that locker room.
It'd be interesting to see what they do with Aaron after this year. Because
throw him away.
You can get off condoms. You could get off his contract if you wanted to.
They have to. To go into another season with him as QB1 is football suicide. There's nothing to build on here. And he's now been here for 2 years. I know he didn't play.
What happens to Aaron after that if you do get rid of him?
It would be one of those things. Does anybody want to take a nibble, or does he just end up having to retire?
I couldn't see him as a backup. I can't see another team bringing him in as a for sure number one.
Yeah,
that would force him into retirement. I think
it would. To me,
the Jets get rid of him.
To me, the most likely scenario is Aaron Rodgers is not an NFL player next year, for the very reason that you're saying. It makes no sense for the Jets to retain him based on his performance and the dynamics of that locker room. And then if you're cutting him or letting him go into the market, where's the obvious fit for Aaron Rodgers? There's none. So unless somebody takes a nibble and wants to bring him in as a starter, which it doesn't make a lot of sense, I just see him kind of out of options as far as continuing his career.
Yeah. Yeah. A couple NBA notes before we get out of here. Okay. Your boy Wemby is still performing. He's playing well. You sent me a clip of Bill Simmons earlier. He was saying how I thought about Wemby when he said this, but he was saying how Caitlin Clark, what he said, is the most. What he said?
It's like what the most influential, or it's more influential than any like under 25 player in the NBA.
Yeah. Or in sports in general, but definitely, I know he was talking about the NBA.
Yeah, so I mean, I just like I didn't really agree with it. I thought it would be decent fodder to talk about.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, to me, I look at Wemby easily. I look at Ant Edwards and see much more than that. I think without playing a pro game, Cooper Flag has more interest. But you have the counter argument. What I think those guys are responding to is the notion that like they're looking at it from the perspective in their own personal. I mean, he said it later in the clip. It's like 5 years ago, I didn't give a crap about women's basketball, and now I'm watching games, and now I'm paying attention to this league.
And that's a lot of guys.
That's what he's saying. So from that perspective, I kind of understand where he's coming from. But I mean, at the end of the day, I think that women's basketball is at best a niche secondary market, and that it doesn't compare, to the NBA product. It doesn't compare to the significance of NBA stars. And so in that way, I think it's, just kind of a little short-sighted type of take. But I see why they're saying it, because in some way or another, it's sort of, roundabout affected them.
Yeah. I same thing. I understand what he's saying. It's just not the truth for me. It's not my truth. Now they're gonna do the Caitlin Clark All-Star thing. They're gonna bring her to the NBA All-Star game. I know it. That's what they're gonna do, and they're gonna make that a big thing, and they're gonna try to keep that train and keep that. The WNBA season is over, so it's been a little quiet on that front, on the Caitlin Clark front. But they're gonna get it back rolling and hype it back up. But in the end, ultimately, I have to imagine she's going to have to win something and to do something to maintain that. I mean, does she just continue to be this hot focal point in sports talk, no matter what she's doing as far as in her sport?
No, she's got to continue to put up like major numbers statistically. Record pace type numbers, and or she has to start winning.
Oh, and or
level. I do think because she already has like
so much
sort of ingrained, cachet, that if she does the equivalent of like Russell Westbrook in the WNBA, where she's like triple doubling it,
or whatever,
she's still easy fodder for ESPN.
Yeah, 10
and there's a ton of people that don't actually watch games that will just, they'll look for what did Caitlin Clark do on ESPN, and that's kind of enough.
Highlight culture.
Yeah.
So
I do. That's why I say the and or. So if the statistical accomplishments are great enough that they're kind of like freakish on their own, or she has to get to a winning situation where she can legitimately be regarded as an MVP or whatever.
And the Ionescu girl came close. I'm not going to say they're going to let Caitlin win. Caitlin is going to win in the three-point shootout. You know that, right? In the NBA All-Star.
I hope not.
She is. And they're going to make that a huge thing.
Well, if she wins and it's fake, fuck her.
I mean, it's not going to appear fake, but it's going to be what it is. I mean, they're shooting with their ball, and who knows? Maybe they'll let them shoot from the WNBA three-point line and all of that. But, she's going to win. and we're gonna have to deal with it. But speaking of,
I'm not gonna watch.
speaking, of, they're doing all a bunch of weird shit to the NBA All-Star game.
It's like a tournament, right?
Yeah, it's like 4 teams. They're gonna allow the winner of the rookie, whatever, the rookie game. They're gonna be allowed to play in it in this tournament style
As a team. Like as their own team?
Yeah, as their own
Okay.
team. Yeah. And then they're gonna split up the other teams of 8 All-Stars or whatever.
Okay.
And it's gonna be a tournament style. It's just like, I think no matter what you do, if the guys aren't gonna play, they're just not gonna play.
Right.
I mean, you switch it up each corner, each kind of way. I mean, I don't know, it's just get rid of it if that's the thing.
I'm okay with getting rid of it.
Yeah, just get rid of it.
No, if the guys don't, I mean, like you can't force people to do what they don't want to do. And what the players have signaled to us for many years right now is that they don't want to play in the All-Star game. It does not mean enough to them to play. And, that's fine. It doesn't mean enough for us to watch if you're not going to play. I mean, that's kind of the trade-off. There's the concept of like an all-star game is you're putting the best possible guys out there who are, theoretically capable of playing the game at a level that's above, anything we've seen. And when they're just going to go through the motions, you're not getting that. So what that offers you isn't being delivered, and it's just a recipe for disappointment.
Yeah, 100%. Hey, really, before we get off, the Magic have been impressing me a little bit here.
You're on the bandwagon now.
No, I'm not on the bandwagon yet, but while my team is doing bad, I'm looking at other teams and, who can I temporarily hop on. They're doing, Paolo has been out for a long time, and for the foreseeable future, they've been winning these games, man. You got Wagner and that Suggs, the defensive guard is what I was going to say, but Suggs, man, they've really been holding it down, man. And
no, they're doing a great job.
Teams up.
When Paolo first went down, it seemed like it took a couple games for them to find their footing.
Yeah,
but they have. I think they're 10-1 in the last 11 games, something like that.
Yeah,
they're doing great. They're showing all the signs of being a real team.
Yeah.
And so that's there, and again, I mean, the Celtics are the Celtics, but in the East, none of the other teams, have really been that incredible except for Cleveland.
Yeah, Cleveland.
Boston and Cleveland.
Cleveland and Boston.
I mean,
sure.
the Knicks, have not been amazing. There's nothing, and then what I mean by that is like when you get, I mean, the standard is like, you get out and you're winning like 80-85% of your games. And like you kind of get out that way and it's like, damn, these guys are locked in. They're playing at a super high level. And nobody else is, you got Boston and you got Cleveland, and the rest of the East is kind of floundering. And when you look at like Milwaukee and Philadelphia, two teams that, maybe not championship expectations, but certainly mid-playoff expectations, have played well below that. Yeah. The door's kind of open. And the Magic are pushing through that, to their credit.
Yeah, 100% there. You got they won tonight actually, so they beat Miami. I mean, they beat the Bulls. I was gonna say I was looking because Lonzo played tonight, and the stats show. I mean, he's been awful. I didn't know that, but he's averaging 4 points and 3 assists a game. He's they're keeping him coming off the bench, but he's averaging 4 points and 3 assists a game. That's man,
how many minutes?
That injury probably has done him in. He's been averaging around like 16, 17 minutes a game. Tonight he played 15 minutes.
Yeah, but I mean, again, you injury of that, if it's that bad, if it's one of these deteriorating situations, you're looking at where Embiid is and where.
But he's a lot younger, which is.
But if you have those
the
degenerating injuries, like Penny Hardaway never recovered.
Yeah, he was fairly young. Yeah,
very young. I mean, he literally, when you look back, he had like about a 2.5-year run of elite play, and that was it.
Yeah.
And then he had the knee problems. It was never the same again.
No, not at all. What is his brother doing over here? Let me see really quick before we get off.
Dropped 44 the other night.
Yeah, and dropped 32 tonight. 32, 10, and 7 in a loss. Yeah, he's doing awesome. 31 and 7 assists, 5 rebounds.
He desperately needs to get to a winning situation.
Damn, he dropped a 50 piece before the 44. He dropped a 50.
Damn.
50 and 10. Yeah,
He's got to get to a more relevant situation.
Yeah.
He's kind of wasting his career playing there.
Think he should force his way out?
Yes, 100%.
Now, I know we've been talking about Ant, but I think LaMelo and your boy Wemby. Now that's
Wemby, yeah.
because LaMelo is more of a true point guard who can score. You know what I mean? Like to get him a true point guard over in San Antonio, I think is more effective than just a true scorer.
And Stephen Castle looks like he's on his way.
Yeah, Castle now. Castle is and not just Castle. I mean, a couple of those young guys over there have been playing well in San Antonio. Yeah, but Castle's one of it. And then they got that Barnes has been playing his role as a veteran shooter, two-way shooter over there.
Yeah.
Champagne. Not sure how much champagne he's drinking that night, but yeah. But yeah, that's been the show, man. We'll catch you guys next week.
Sounds like a plan.
Later.